Hello, 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 everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, or good morning, depending on when you're watching this broadcast or depending on where in the world you're watching it from. You are now watching Get Into It live chats with Kimberly Willis. And we are here talking about cancer conversations for caregivers, for survivors, and anyone who is in the cancer community. And I bring you greetings from the United States, from the great state of Michigan, also known as the Mitten State, and I am your host, Kimberly Willis, and I am a wellness advocate who is also not a stage 1, not a stage 2, but a stage 3 breast cancer survivor. It's my month, guys. It's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I'm so excited to talk about not only breast cancer, but just all cancers in general. Listen, I help you with different things in your cancer journey as far as your books, like, guys, you see this? I just produced this book. I just published this book, I should say. And you can get it right at survivorscorner.net. You can follow me on Instagram, which is survivors_corner, Facebook at Survivors Corner, or on YouTube at Survivors Corner. But what I also need you to do is to make sure that you like, comment, and share this broadcast. I'm sure that our guest is getting ready to penetrate your heart, to inspire you, to give you hope in all those different things. So make sure that you're following me, and let's get into our guest today. Let's play a video of our featured guest.
I've been a cancer advocate for many years. I personally have not been through actual cancer myself, but I've lost many family members close to me, both with pancreatic, lung cancer, colorectal, breast cancer, and have several cousins now that are going through the cancer journey. And so my goal as a health coach is to be able to advocate for cancer survivors to be able to reset their health.
All right, let's read a little bit of her bio. Emily Evans is a holistic health coach, a licensed nutritionist, and certified diabetes educator in Wilmington, North Carolina. With over 30 years experience in healthcare, Emily's mission is to advocate for and inspire a reset for improved quality of life in those she serves. As an integrative nutrition health coach, Emily combines her training and her knowledge and passion to empower cancer survivors, people living with diabetes and heart disease and obesity, to create a custom fit program to reset their health, and this is my favorite, for the glory of God. So please welcome my dear sister, Emily Evans. Hello.
Hello, Kimberly. It is so great to see you.
Same
And thank you for that very warm greeting and bio. It makes me sound old.
No, I think it makes you trustworthy too. Like when you have 30 years, you have a lot of skin in the game. So I'm really excited to have you on today. I'm excited for the sound issues. So thank God everything is going on. So I'm really just thankful to dive into today's show. So we heard a little bit about your professional journey, and we also heard a little bit about your personal journey with all of your family members that has unfortunately dealt with the ugly disease called cancer. But tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Well, thank you so much for having me today, first of all. I really appreciate that. And, being in healthcare, you see so many chronic diseases, including cancer, and you just have a warm appreciation in relation to what um, anyone who's ever been on the cancer journey has gone through. I was actually at a 70th birthday party last night, and a lady came up to me just sharing how she was an ovarian cancer survivor,
Mm.
and just all of what she had gone through. And now part of her mission is also just educating women, that if they feel something, sense something, have symptoms, or maybe they don't,
Hmm.
please get checked. Don't wait. And I know
Yes.
that's what we're talking about here today, and that's what you advocate for each and every day. And
Hmm.
so that's just so important.
That's good. It's really good to have another wellness advocate on here, because sometimes, as survivors and or caregivers, they go through the battle, but then it kind of stops there, and it's okay if they stop there because
Mhm.
it's a heavy ordeal to go through. But I have a special connection with those who take it a step further, because there is things that we need to do. We need to have research. We need to have people to advocate to make sure that we're seeing about ourselves, because unfortunately there's so many people right now who ignore or put off seeing about their health. And it's just so
Mhm.
important to make sure that we're advocating for those who may not be thinking about it, because life is so busy and we're just busy doing our normal routine, to just actually take a moment and pause. But tell us a little bit further about your heavy interest in healthcare.
Okay. Well, my background, as you mentioned in my bio, is I went to college to become a nutritionist, and I used to work as a registered dietitian. And so I worked both with physicians and all in the medical profession, but of course, my main mission was to see with patients how we could improve their diet, their nutrition, possibly their weight, and some of just the things that they were living with, and how to improve their quality of life. And so after doing that, I spent 24 years in the pharmaceutical industry.
Mm.
And so being on the side with the medications, the prescription medications, seeing what these can do. And there's a time and place for all the medications. It can be a wonderful thing, but they're not the be all end all. We
Mhm.
still have to work on the whole body, so to
Yes.
speak, with what we eat and how we sleep and our movement, our physical activity, our weight, and pills or injections. They can't just be a quick fix. And
Mhm.
so it's the whole body. And so that's what my next kind of transition that I've gotten into with health coaching, is to still see how we can transform lives and improve quality of life. Because as people have gone through so many, I've seen on the other side, I am not a cancer survivor personally, but I've seen what it's done to so many people
Mhm.
in relation from the chemotherapy to the radiation to the surgeries to the list goes on and on. And what this and the medications and what this
Yeah.
does to survivors and patients, and trying to still see how we can try to help improve their quality of life.
Yes, that's good. So I want to give a disclaimer, because some of the advice or tips that you may hear from this show, please still see your doctor. We are offering different perspectives and a different set of lens of how to approach healthcare. So if you are all for traditional medicine, that's fine, but we just want to give you another approach. If you're all only for a holistic thing, again, same thing. We just want to give you what it's like on both sides. So I just want to give that disclaimer. So you're not trying to come after me or Emily with
Please
anything.
don't.
Still discuss it with your doctor. Use discernment and have wisdom on how to handle your whole healthcare regimen. Now back to our scheduled program. So our topic today is about connecting the dots,
Mhm.
and really about how we're or are looking at a total holistic approach to healing. And you mentioned about how traditional medicine is not the all be all. And I just want to say that that is a powerful message, and I believe in that. having someone who has traditionally went through the chemo and the radiation, I am learning that there is some holistic things that is really beneficial too. And even my primary doctor is in both worlds. And I am so
Mhm.
excited about that because you don't find that often. Sometimes if you have
Right.
a traditional doctor, you only have that. And if you have a holistic doctor, an integrative doctor, or team, I should say, they sometimes are, I think that more of, I think of the integrative side, they look at both, but more traditional doctors are more so like, hey, I don't want to look at it. But talk about the importance of exploring your options and exploring your team if they're not open to the whole holistic approach.
That's a loaded question
Yeah.
because all of that is very true. And I have worked with many wonderful medical providers that have gone to school and done lots of continuing education and lots of training. And so I'm very supportive of people in the healthcare and the medical field, like we say, those that are in traditional or westernized medicine. But we also have a lot of what I hate to say, but it's out there. Everything is continuing to evolve,
Mhm,
and so therefore it's very important to try to look at working with people that will also listen to you and that
mhm,
you are also part of the decision making. Way back in, I have an elderly mother, and way back more so in her time, it was people would go to the doctor. This is what, you would give them the symptoms, and this is what they would prescribe with,
mhm,
the pen on the pad and send you out the door. Well, and not maybe that many questions asked. Well, the internet came along, and so there's a lot more information and so
mhm,
forth available now, good and bad, and we can talk a little more about that. But it is important to still do research and be a part of the discussion, be a part of the treatment decision, and that's where we need to educate ourselves.
yes. I think that's good because it's important for the survivor and or the caregiver who is
Yes.
talking on behalf of the survivor to educate yourself and be part of the conversation. Sometimes some are shy, especially for the
Mhm.
older generation that has already been brought up in that culture. But for
Mhm.
those who are a little bit more vocal, I think it's kind of a give and take. I think it's you still have to maintain that respect for the medical profession, but really it's
Absolutely.
about asking questions. It's not about
Good.
questioning them. It's about asking the right questions about how this is going to affect your body because it's very important to know that the side effects is going to affect you and not them. So
Right.
it's okay to ask questions to provide clarity really at the end of the day so you really understand what's going on so you don't have as a caregiver or a survivor don't have any regrets in your treatment plan saying man I wish
Absolutely.
I would have knew this I would have did this a little bit different. Those questions are so vital with that. Let's take this a step further with connecting the dots. How are habits from childhood, such as eating and sleeping, affect us in our adulthood?
That is a great question because this is very important to assess what are we feeding our kids and our teens, and what we even ourselves ate as a child.
Mhm,
Did when our mother would say, "Eat your greens, drink your milk." That this was from traditions and from history, but we also know how important it is to
right.
get in whole foods and fruits and vegetables. And so, if someone has only been exposed to what I call things out of a bag or a can,
Mm,
and they haven't been exposed to fresh fruits and vegetables and what we refer to now as whole foods, then they may be missing out on essential vitamins and minerals that can impact our whole body and
mhm,
aspects of health. And definitely with what we've gone through the last couple of years, we know that this impacts our immune system,
mhm.
and our immune system is so important also as a big part of our wellness.
Yeah.
So it's important.
That's good. Let's talk to the mom or dad who is using the bag or the can for convenience because again we have the busy lifestyles. How
Absolutely.
important, or I didn't say how important, but explain the importance of meal prepping and how that can work instead of making fresh meals every day and to assure that we're getting the right nutrition that we need.
I love that idea. And meal prepping has become even more popular when we want to talk about time. You know, when we all look at the amount of time that we have in a day with
Mhm.
all of life's many responsibilities. Meal prepping can be essential to do this like ahead of time, and you can pick the time, whether that's
Mhm.
Saturday afternoon, Sunday evening, or earlier in the week, whenever you can carve out that amount of time to cut up, to slice and dice different things. And you can sometimes even sprinkle a little bit of apple cider vinegar,
Mhm.
or put a little bit of pineapple juice or lemon juice or some different things so that your fruits and vegetables do not discolor. If you have some Ziploc bags, that is so important to do. But sometimes even using some of the newer ways, like the Instapot, can be
Mhm.
even quicker with preparation compared to, I came along more with the crock pot, which
Mhm.
I'll still love my crock pot. But trying to plan ahead, go to the store, look at your budget, think about what are you going to have this week, what are you going to serve your family, in
Mhm.
relation to be thinking about your recipes and what do you need when you go to the store to get those things, so that you have that, as opposed to coming home looking in your refrigerator and saying, well, what are we going to eat tonight, because there's nothing
Mhm.
here. And then that's where the sometimes more of the processed foods come into
Yeah.
play, because we haven't prepared. And I know it's tough.
It is. I like that about preparation. I think it's easy yet hard because you have to be consistent and you have to be intentional about
Intention.
when you're going to prep everything. And I think if we change our mindset about that, instead of looking at it as it's taking time away from our day, that we're actually fueling our bodies with the energy that we need throughout the week. And then sometimes as the I will say the nutritionist of the home, whoever is doing the majority of the cooking in the home, sometimes we are unintentionally um, feeding our families bad stuff. And
Right.
it's a few ways. It's by, again, because we are doing things too quick. So we're looking for quick meals. Sometimes it could be something that's processed. And I know I'm so guilty of it. I always tell everyone I have a million kids or 20 kids, even though I really only have four. But it's so hard because trying to do everything, it's hard. However, when I find out that I'm very intentional about different things and finding different hacks or equipment to make my life easier, it helps. So to get a food processor to dice up my vegetables. So I'm not taking
Mhm.
15 minutes cutting up onions and things like that and putting it in a container so it doesn't become soggy, or using a juicer. So, and
Mhm.
a good juicer that's really, that you don't have to do too much preparation outside of just cleaning it, or having, listen, I'm giving you all these hacks, or giving a gallon of water and putting all your lemons and limes in there so it doesn't oxidize, and then that way it stays fresh a little bit longer. So just making life easier, I think, is very important. But then also reading the labels, that is something that I'm starting to get into now and didn't realize how I'm missing the mark and how others may be missing the mark. So not just looking at the calories, that's just one aspect of it, but really looking at the ingredients. And I'm learning that when there is a big paragraph, typically it's not good for you. If it's in layman's terms, it's
Yes,
typically good for you. Can you talk a little bit more about the importance of labeling?
absolutely. And before we do that, the other thing I was just going to add is it's okay to say no to some of these other things on the schedule. Like,
Mhm.
I've been a
Oh, that's
part
good.
of a group in relation that we were meeting like weekly. Well, one of the busy moms had said, you know what, I'm going to have to take a break from this group because that's an hour that we need to still be working on some
Mhm.
food prep or some other things. And she's got her teens involved in this too. And that was the other thing I was going to say when we want to talk about quality family time and learning even at an earlier age. Get the
Mhm.
kids in there, get the kids in the kitchen, and get them involved with, some of the food prep as well. Because it's
Yeah.
number one, it's a great time for you to learn about what's going on in their lives and with their day and what's
Mhm.
in their head. And you can really tackle multitask, so to speak, with their emotional needs. But the other thing I was going to say about reading labels, I learned also years ago that if it's confusing to your mind or to your brain, then it may end up being confusing with the list of ingredients, may be
Mhm.
confusing to your gut or gut health and your digestion. So,
Mhm.
to your point, the more the ingredients, the longer the list, the more, and it's particularly if you cannot pronounce the words. If
Mhm.
things say stevia leaf extract, that's like the stevia substitute, sugar substitute. That's
Mhm.
one of the healthier plant-based ones. But if it's all this monosodium diphosphonate, dehydrogenase, this, that, and the other, okay, then yes, that is where we get into a whole lot more that is processed, preservatives, and so forth. And the other thing about reading the labels that's so important is we have to understand there's a lot of marketing claims. So
Yes.
just because it says organic, gluten free, natural, fat free, sugar free, whatever the words are, a lot of that is marketing claims. And we have to really look at what is in the ingredient list. And
Yes.
what's listed first is what it has the most of it in there. So if it's a nut butter you're buying, and nuts are like the fifth ingredient, it's almost like, well, what is actually is in this?
Right.
So
Yeah, that's really good that
I hope
you
that
talk about that.
helps.
Yeah, it really does. I want to talk about for those who are wanting to make this change that give yourself some grace. There's a lot of information that you are being thrown at with changing your lifestyle, which means you're also changing your habit. And we're getting ready to talk about habits. You have been possibly doing something the same, I mean, for years.
Yeah,
So give yourself some grace. Start at something. You know what? If you want to go dairy free, you know what? Start with that. If it's reading
right.
labels, do certain things at a time. Okay, I'm gonna because that's also gonna make your shopping at the grocery store just a tad bit longer. And of course, you're not gonna spend all day in the grocery store. So do it by things and then do it by little increments, and then you'll be able to automatically know what brands are typically trustworthy, so you could just kind of trust what they have, and then you could look at it later. So like that's very important too, and I know that's what I've been doing. I've learned to not beat myself up with
Absolutely.
if I
Yeah.
bought another thing of peanut butter that has the harmful oils, because you have to also know that these companies are using cheaper ingredients to
Yes.
make money.
Yes.
However, so some might say, okay, well, I don't want to pay extra for this. But guess what? You're about to pay for it in possibly cancer. You're about to pay for it in diabetes. And sometimes we are reactive instead of proactive. It's not until someone gets diagnosed with diabetes until they change their habits. It's not until someone gets diagnosed with cancer, and sometimes you can't even pinpoint if that's what gave you cancer or not. But
Correct.
it's different ailments and things like that, that the fatigue and different things that's in our bodies. So this conversation is to help us be a little bit more proactive and to set our future generations up for success, so then they won't have such a hard time with a transition like we are, to where they're already going to just be better at it, and it's going to force these companies to start doing better because we are automatically going to the healthier options instead of the same old that we've been doing from generation to generation to generation. So
Absolutely.
back to habits. Tell us about how hard it is to break a habit.
Well, I realize it's a big challenge, and that is for any of us, whether it's exercise or physical activity, or whether it's food, smoking, whatever it is, it can be. But the first question that I think that we need to, ask is, what is my goal?
Mhm.
What am I willing to change? Why do I want to change it? And then take one step at a time, because baby steps, to your point, small steps can make just equate to big dividends.
Mhm.
And so, um, in relation to, I love to give examples like you mentioned about the water and the beverages. For example, if you're drinking 16 ounces of soda, soda pop, or soft drinks, and not having any water, would you be willing to give and take? Would you be
Mhm.
willing to cut back to 8 ounces and then substitute the other 8 ounces for water? And that could be a starting point. So, and the other thing, coming back to any type of habit when we look at nutrition, is lots of people have been on diets throughout their whole life. That one of the worst words in the language is like a dirty word is
Mhm.
diet,
Mhm.
because it just sets you up for negative
Right.
connotation, because who wants to be on a diet?
Right.
So it's all about lifestyle change. What am I doing for my health? And if so, any of this related to a habit, if you'll think about it a little more like, what am I willing to switch out this for that?
Mhm.
Start small and keep doing it consistently. And like you said earlier, do not beat yourself up.
Yes.
Okay, I get upset with people when I hear them say, "Well, I cheated," or "I went off and did this," and all of these. Don't beat yourself up, because that can just lead up into a lot of other emotional eating challenges as well, and just emotional as a whole, and depression and mental health. And
Yeah.
we've got to give some self love
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
show some grace.
Yeah. That is so good. Unfortunately, some of the foods that we are digesting in our systems contribute to anxiety and depression, and we are not even realizing that we're doing that. That's why it's so important to pay attention to what is going on. And I absolutely agree with you about it's a mindset thing. Like sometimes, in order for us to um, have action in something, we have to think about it first. We have to
Right.
really, write it down, make it plain. They say, whatever man thinketh, so is he. We have to really be committed to the uh, the 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 wellness change that's a part of it. And to me, I don't know if you had other people that you coach felt this way, but to me, it's almost like a grieving process because when you're breaking a habit, you are shutting off, you are disconnecting and trying to get rid of this thing that has been attached to you for so long. And
Mhm.
I'm sorry, sugar is great. You know what I'm saying? Sugar is amazing. Grease is great. I mean, it makes the food taste great. However, there are different things to give you that same satisfaction. And sometimes it's not marketed that way because we're so used to having if you make greens, if you're southern or even in northern states, if you like greens and you put fat back in it or soft pork or whatever like that, instead of switching it to either tofu if you're a vegetarian or even smoked turkey, just so you're not having all that sodium in your pot of greens. Like it's a mindset change about really breaking that habit. Have you known
Yes.
of any of your people who went through the grieving process?
That's a great way to describe it. And people have described that, um, for various things. And as you mentioned about sugar, because some people will define themselves as a sugaraholic. And so therefore, when they do like cut back and they, And maybe even they don't go where they don't have, let's say, candy is their
Mhm.
vice. And if they change to dark chocolate, and if they then go with some that is portioned out, portion control, where they allow
Mhm.
themselves to have a smaller bite of something versus a whole bag or a whole bar,
Mhm.
it's amazing just that on the palate that can satisfy them.
Yeah.
And so, because that's one of the sensory organs. So I think sometimes it's all about, I love what you said, being intentional
Mhm.
and start slow and writing things down and even having a goal.
Mhm.
What is this that you're working towards? Let's just say you're a busy mom, but you have a daughter who's getting married next summer,
Mhm.
and you know that you need to lose some weight. Well, first of all, we've also found that just losing even 5 to 7% of body weight, research has shown that this can dramatically reduce even something like the risk of developing type 2 diabetes. Say if you're
Mhm.
pre-diabetes, losing 5 to 7% of your body weight. So when you look at that and you start calculating the numbers, let's say you weigh 200 pounds, that would be 10 to 14 pounds. We're
Yeah.
not talking about a whole 100-pound body. We're talking about some small, incremental, doing it slow changes that can make huge dividends
Mhm.
in the long run.
Yeah, definitely. And being committed to it, like we talked about being intentional, is I think sometimes we have to get to a I'm sick and tired being sick and tired. I'm
Right,
tired of feeling tired of all the time because that's really what's going to do it. I know for some that has lost weight, they said, you know what? I'm tired of looking like this and I'm over it. And you got to find out what your why is. Why are you even trying to lose weight?
you're right.
Why are you trying to even to live better or to eat better? You have to answer those questions prior to starting that, because if you're doing it just because you're only doing it for the wedding reception because you want to look good, you're going to
Right,
go back. And
right,
if you want to really make this a lifestyle change, you got to prepare yourself ahead of time, like we just talked about, that mindset to be able to get ready for that next thing. So you got the person
right.
that says, you know what, I'm ready to make the change, and I'm ready to make sure that my team around me is going to help me with that. So how would you encourage somebody and give someone insight about finding the right provider or the right specialist for their team?
Here again, that's another really great question. Um, you know, one of the big things I would encourage, people to start with is, do they have a primary provider?
Mhm.
Do they have whether it's a physician, a nurse practitioner, a physician assistant, whatever they have, that is one of the first great starting places. And if they do not have one, can they ask some of their trusted friends, extended family members,
Mhm.
maybe even members in their church or their neighbors to refer them? Because word of mouth is also so essential in trying to
Yes.
find different medical professionals, any kind of professional. If you're trying to find a plumber or electrician or whoever it is to try to help you,
Mhm.
but I would start with looking at um, who is your primary care provider and to talk with them to
Mhm.
see. And if you don't have, like I say, check with some of those other people. The other thing I was going to say, if you're already experiencing some different symptoms, then you can even check with your local health department,
Mhm.
because the health department also does lots of different screenings
Mm.
with blood pressure and blood sugar and all kinds of things, and cholesterol checks and so forth. And they have various different community programs that are also very good. And so that can be another way, even if you need to get a referral to someone.
Mhm.
So those are just a few of my initial thoughts.
That's good. Word of mouth is definitely effective still. Um, Things that used to work back then still work today. So, listen, so I want to make sure that those that are listening are roses. And if you forgot what a rose is, I call everyone our roses because that's attaining the impossible. So it's really talk about how you are a fighter and how you are a warrior through the things
Yeah,
that you go through in your life. So make
yeah,
sure that you are commenting, sharing, and liking this. I know that some of my support groups, I'm going to forward this over there. So if you have any questions, even after the live broadcast, please drop them in the comments. I will make sure I will get it over to Emily, and then we will make sure that your question gets answered or comment. She'll know that too. So let's keep going. So we talked about earlier in the show about how we can research different things to ask the questions to the doctors, and Google is like a two-edged sword. It is like it's great because it will help you to get information, but then sometimes we are researching the wrong stuff on Google and we can really put ourselves in a frenzy. It can really throw us into depression if we're looking at the wrong thing and not looking at through a medical perspective. So talk about how to use online searches such as Google and Bing and all those other type of search engines to our benefit.
well, you said it went really well. Google, Yelp, all these different, search engines, are a good starting point. Again, we have to leverage also referral networks, in
Mhm.
my opinion, because let's just say if you have been referred to physical therapy, or if you've been in a rehab facility for whatever has gone on, you can ask even their opinion and who is their referral network. Let's just
Mhm.
say you're trying to find also another healer, helper, or therapist. Who do they refer to, for example, like with chiropractic care? Um, and this is, here again, word of mouth, reputation can help just extend and help with the whole reputable, so to speak, in connecting who you may need to see. So
Mm.
it's not to say that you can't like just look to see who populates on the search engine of who are the top, whatever. But then go in, if you're looking at this on online or the internet, is to look at, has anybody else commented on them? Has anyone given them a testimonial? Has anyone given them a review? Because that's always good. It's almost like when you're trying to look at new restaurants.
Mhm.
Has someone given them a review, or good, bad, or not so pretty? So it's just some other things. I was just going to give a personal experience myself, because I've been trying to still kind of get my menopause under control,
Mhm.
and I haven't been exactly pleased with some of what my GYN had prescribed for me. And so I have actually asked one of my trusted kind of medical friends, for like another referral looking at hormone therapy, and because I want to do more of the holistic hormonal um, health perspective. And so I'm working through the appointment right now. And
That's
so
awesome.
you, any of us has to be our best advocate. We cannot just depend on what the medical profession or any provider, says is the be all end all.
Mhm.
We have to be our best advocate, and also as a caregiver. This is so often what we're also doing, is to advocate for other people,
Mhm.
and try to help propose. And we want to, of course, be nice and gracious and cordial and gentle and kind about it. And so that's just some of my thoughts as well.
That's good. The second part of our topic talks about understanding your body. I think it's very important to be very in tune with your
Yeah,
body, and because you'll be able to catch things that is off, and but then
yeah,
also just to be able to you know just feel good about what's going on with your body, especially if you're doing different changes and you notice the changes. I can't explain to you, like ever since I started doing an increase of water. And in fact, I show you guys, look, I got this big old joker here, a
Go ahead.
64 ounces. And when I actually finish that whole thing, it is I feel amazing. Now, also, you realize that, you're clearing out the impurities and things in your body. You just feel so much better. So, let's talk about how important it is to be in tune with your body.
It's absolutely essential because um, my dad used to joke years ago that if he wasn't feeling well or if he got sick, to take him down to the veterinary office because the dogs and the cats and the animals couldn't talk to tell the provider what was going on with them.
Mhm,
And so, therefore, we have to know what's going on with ourselves.
mhm,
Um, and if we are sensing a symptom or see something, you know, an outward growth or anything on our body, or if it's something that we're feeling from our digestion to our bowel habits to whatever it feels, whatever it is that we're detecting, it's so important that we be our main and first advocate
mhm,
because it's hard for anyone else to be able to diagnose or to, you know, be able to know the path or the track of where to take you or how to treat you or what to prescribe if you don't know exactly more what's going on with you. And
mhm,
it's kind of like when you take your car down for a tune up. They sometimes put it up on the diagnostic machine, but they can't
mhm,
necessarily detect something. But sometimes if you say, well, this is what I was hearing in what part of the vehicle, it's amazing what that will trigger the mechanic to go in and
mhm.
look for it. And our bodies are the same way. And I say that because I've had a little issue with my vehicle that they couldn't quite diagnose. So it's medical providers are so busy and they are asked to treat a gazillion patients a day.
Mhm,
And so that's why the more that we can research what are our symptoms, what is not feeling right, don't put it off because we say, I don't have time for that, or I'm
right.
working, or they're only open from 9 to 5. That's when I work. I can't take off from work. I can't do all of these other things. Somehow or another, you have got to stop and drop to make this a priority because there are clinics now that are even open 24/7. There's
Mm,
telehealth available, even down at the pharmacies, at the Minute Clinic, and some of these other different things. You can even, going back again, check with your local health department. If there's something else you need to be screened for, ask your pharmacist if they even have a recommendation of who or what you may need to see. There's just a plethora of resources that you can look at. But like I say, listen to your body if it does not seem, just right.
yeah. You talked about just a moment ago about using Google and the Yelping things to your advantage. I don't want to say I'm religious on looking at reviews. And I mean that's across the board. It could be if I'm ordering some off of Amazon, I'm gonna look at those reviews. If it's
Mhm.
ordering off of Shein, I'm looking at those reviews because I want to make sure it's gonna fit right. And then
Yeah.
I think you should keep that same concept, like you said, when you are looking at things online, because again, for me, sometimes I can get a connection. I look at pictures, I look at reviews, and I try to see if I can kind of get a vibe without before I even get an in-person vibe to see if they may be aligned with what, I want my doctor and my team to have. And I think it's
Absolutely.
okay to have that because the doctors are working for you. I think that mutually you
Exactly.
have to have a common ground together. If you
Mhm.
have a one doctor or a team. And I use team
Yeah.
a lot because especially with cancer, you have your
Yes.
oncologist, your radiologist, your primary care, your gynecologist, you have a team. And you want your
Yes.
team to be communicating with each other and to be sympathetic or have empathy. I'm really big on bedside manner too. If I have a doctor that makes me feel kind of way, I'm I'm on to the next. And in fact, I switched my primary care because of that. And I like where I'm at now. But it's okay to do the switching. And I know it's a pain in the butt. It's like switching your direct deposit with banks. It's just you got to go through all the song and dance and giving the routing number and account number again. Got to make sure it stops one and it goes to another. I know it's a big hassle, but it pays off at the
Yes.
end.
Yes.
Um, we're getting ready
Yeah.
to near down towards our conversation. This has been amazing. In your opinion, when is the right time to see about something when you notice that something is off? Because sometimes people are like, okay, I've had this for a day. Oh my gosh, I need to go to the ER. And then you got some that waits a few months and then they got this whole oozing bump right coming out. And then like, when do I go see it? When is in your opinion, what is the appropriate time to go see about something that's off?
Well, first of all, I also am a big proponent in prayer
Hmm.
in relation to seek from our higher power um, some counsel
Hmm.
and in relation to just that nudging of what I need to do. And it may even be also to a further step to seek out to your prayer circle or prayer partner
Hmm.
or even someone else in your church community. But I think when you really or sensing this, you need to go ahead and call to get an appointment because so many places you may be on a waiting list
Yes.
for weeks, months, and you cannot afford to wait. You matter, your health matters, and I mean, it has been shown over and over again that so many conditions could have been prevented or the outcome could have improved if it would have been treated or, excuse me, diagnosed earlier. And we definitely have seen that in a lot of different cancers, for
Hmm.
example. And when someone was seeing something or sensing something or having symptoms, so don't wait. Please
Yeah.
don't wait. Go ahead and call, seek out, and if you don't know where to start, like I said, come back to check with your primary care provider first. If you don't have one, what clinics are available, urgent care, um, health departments. Uh, there's lots of things that you can connect with and go in. And if you don't have transportation, get someone, call a friend, call a neighbor, call your pastor, call someone to,
Yes.
to help get you there.
That's good. Yeah, definitely make sure you don't put it off. I know personally for myself with my mom, she had testing that just took a little bit too long. I mean, if you guys know my story, my father also had cancer at the same time too, so that kind of already added the delay. But um, she just had a hard time getting appointments in. She had to wait months, and she was
Yes.
unable to get treatment. And like one of the things that I felt like I dealt with that I want to free other survivors or caregivers from is having survivor's guilt. I felt like if I would have switched providers sooner for her or try to get her through a different avenue sooner, that she would still be here. And I want to free someone to get that burden, that feeling off of you, that you don't carry that. Things happen
Mm-mm.
the way they happen. But we're here to tell you, at least from our experiences, that hey, if you are waiting a few months, check around. Like, hey, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
this may not work for me because I really think this is important. I know other survivors that has demand to be seen and found out that they were giving the wrong treatment for their cancer, giving whole chemo and everything. And now, because of their persistence, they were able to finally get it. So please be your advocate. This is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And I can't stress to all survivors, irregardless if you're cancerous or not, because I feel like we all are survivors of something, that
Yes.
you are really making sure that you're doing that self-care and looking for
Mhm.
lumps and things like that.
Mhm.
Please don't put it off. Please, I found mine through self-detection. I'm under 40. So guys, please make sure that you go and check out yourselves with that. So, listen, we are winding down the last few minutes of our show, and I want to be sure that people know how they can follow you. So, make sure that you are following her on these social platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter as the Reset Health Coach. You can also follow her on LinkedIn under her name, Emily Evans. But again, you can follow her right there. You see it right there on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter as the Reset Health Coach. You'll see different things that she is posting, and just be up in the know. And if you want to shoot her DMs, go ahead and just let her know, like, hey, I saw you on the show and just want to just drop in and say hi. I
Love to.
promise you, I know she will respond back because that's how sweet she is. But also, if you want to be under her program and to get the health coach things, I know several people that has benefited from the advice and tips that she has. You may email her at emily@resethealth.coach, or you could do evans at emily1@gmail. She looks at both, but here you got emily@resethealth.coach or evans.emily1@gmail.com. I'm going to go back to the social platforms because, again, I want to make sure that you're following her. So on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, Reset Health Coach, or Emily Evans under LinkedIn, or you can follow her or to follow up with her to be under her program, which again is a blessing to everyone. Emily at resethealth.coach or evans.emily1@gmail.com. So, is there anything that you would like to share with our listeners before we head out?
Well, first of all, I just have really, really enjoyed our time here today. You are such an inspiration to me, to women, to cancer survivors. And I'm learning, so much through following you. I'm excited. I just have received also Surviving the Cancer Journey, and you're also your
Yay.
first book. So I'm excited about that because you have an amazing story.
Thank
And
you.
so thank you for all that you're doing to help, with that. The last thing I guess I would just say is do not wait. If you are experiencing any type of symptoms or something
Mhm.
just doesn't seem right with your body, just like other aspects, you may say, I can't afford this. I don't have insurance. I don't have, whatever the different things are. There are resources out there to tap into, and
Yes.
you will not be turned away. And so that is where we are still here to try to help advocate for and to connect the dots in relation to what do you need as part of your treatment plan. And
Mhm.
we may not have all the answers, but we can definitely try to make some phone calls to see how we can help direct and guide someone.
That's good. And if you watch our previous show, our guest, um, Erica Walls, who's really who connected us together. She has talked about her journey of having breast cancer without having insurance. So there are resources, and there are people who are survived with having that. So it doesn't have to be a death sentence if you do not have insurance. But Emily, I really enjoyed having you here. It's been a true joy, just really having in-depth conversation about nutrition and things like that, because I don't think it's always talked about all the time. And again, people who love sugar, such as myself, or even like the grease and things like that, like I'm learning to embrace this new journey. And I'm thankful to have people like you who help encourage us so we can continue to walk in our purpose and be healthy while doing that.
Mhm.
Again, it's a journey. It's not going to change overnight. However, take those steps to a more holistic approach and betterment in your body. But guys, listen, next week we're getting ready to have Melissa, who is a domestic violence survivor. So this is also Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And yes, we talk about more so cancer things here, but I wanted to highlight that as well because, she is really going to dive into that. So I'm excited about our conversation next week. But then also, again, make sure that you are heading over to survivorscorner.net to follow me for different things. If you want to be put on our email list, you'll get to see new merch that is dropping. We got hoodies that's getting ready to come out. So I'm really excited about that. So, I got the books that just came out, which is a blessing. So if you haven't heard about the book, it's really a 30-day health guide that's really talking about going from active to post-treatment. Sometimes we talk about what's going on during active treatment, but we're not talking enough about what's going on post-treatment, about the fatigue, the changing of medical professional, or just everything that goes along with that. Even if you were re-diagnosed again, I'm talking about that in this book. So make sure that you are giving it to others who may need to hear that. Even if you don't have necessarily a connection to cancer, there's still tips and life principles that you'll see in really all of my books. So I'm really excited to have that published again. I self-published this, so I'm really excited about that. So
Congratulations.
thank you. And I'm excited to have people such as Emily in my life to help me in my journey and to give me different options. Like, just to be transparent, I have been dealing with this issue with my hair falling out. Now, all of this hair came back after cancer to then just start falling off, like the audacity of my hair to want to act like that. However, we're going through some different things to holistically look at some options. So I saw my dermatologist and got one thing, but we're looking at some different options with that. So again, we're really practicing what we're preaching here. So really look at all of your options and do what's best for you. So really, until next time, guys, I hope you guys have a blessed day and really just continue to walk out on purpose. Take care.